here to break this all down, senior White House correspondent Kelly White.
And, my apologies, and Peter Doran, adjunct senior fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Welcome to both of you, gentlemen. So, Kelly, let's start with you. Where do things stand now, and do we know anything more concrete about the potential meeting between Putin and Zelenskyy in this quest for peace?
So, John and Jenna, first of all, good evening to you. In terms of the metrics and the optics of how this all comes together, we do not know any final stages, other than the fact that the president is still pushing for Volodymyr Zelenskyy, the president of Ukraine, and Vladimir Putin of Russia to meet together first. He wants to see them have a meeting together. We do not know when and where that will take place. He's pushing for that bilateral meeting. Keep in mind that during yesterday's meeting in the Oval Office, Volodymyr Zelenskyy had actually invited the president to participate in this meeting to make it a trilateral meeting. But the president says it's time for the two of you, meaning Zelenskyy as well as Putin, to get together. And he talked about the fact that they do not get along with each other, but it's important that they have a meeting of the minds with each other. There is some talk that that could possibly happen in Budapest, perhaps within the next week or 2 weeks. The president is really pushing for this. If he needs to be in the room where it happens, he will definitely avail himself to do that.
Yeah, we heard him say that yesterday. Peter, what are your biggest takeaways from yesterday's White House meeting on the heels of the Alaska summit between Trump and Putin?
Well, it's very clear that President Trump is moving at Trump speed in order to help forge a peace agreement between Russia and Ukraine. He said just yesterday, he reiterated, he is very concerned about the number of people who are dying every day. Some of the European diplomats talked about maybe putting off their next meeting for 2 months from now. He said that's not good enough. So, the big problem right here isn't Ukraine. It's Russia. Vladimir Putin is trying to win more victories at the negotiating table than he's won on the battlefield, and he's injecting poisoned pills into these negotiations, and Trump is trying to cut right through that.
Peter, speaking of poison pills, what are your thoughts about this bilateral meeting between Zelenskyy and Putin if Putin doesn't even look at Zelenskyy as a legitimate leader of Ukraine? And, you know, there have been past episodes where Putin has killed adversaries. So what are your thoughts about the two of them meeting alone?
Well, it's certainly a risk. In fact, let's recall that in the early phases of this escalated invasion back in 2022, Russia actually sent in hit teams into Kyiv to try and assassinate President Zelenskyy. Now, thankfully, they did not succeed. Obviously, the Ukrainians are concerned about security issues. I don't think that's going to be an issue if President Trump brings both sides together and turns a bilateral meeting, so between Russia and Ukraine, into a trilateral meeting with President Trump in the middle. What needs to happen now is for the Ukrainians to make the best decision possible about how much of their land they don't think they can take back, and for the Europeans and America to make major security guarantees so that this war ends and never starts up again.
Kelly, today we learned that Secretary of State Marco Rubio has been appointed to really take on the lead in these talks. What can you, with Ukraine and Russia, be the point person, I should say. What can you tell us about that?
Well, look, the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, has been very much in front of this, as well as the envoy, special envoy to Ukraine and Russia, Steve Witkoff. Both of these men, in particular, Marco Rubio, has been in the room where it happens. He's actually helped the President of the United States figure out what kind of man Vladimir Putin truly is. And it's helped the President in getting Putin to the table in such a quick amount of effort and time to get this man to the table, which took place in Alaska on Friday. Here we are on Tuesday, and we're talking about the possibility that the two men, Zelenskyy and Putin, will meet together. That is all done because of the efforts of not only President Donald Trump, but also his Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, and his special envoy, Steve Witkoff. And then there's Mr. Kellogg as well. So the president really has assembled the right kind of team to deal with Putin, to deal with Zelenskyy, And in terms of security agreements and security guarantees, this is very important. So Marco Rubio has to fine-tune this so that it's an Article 5-like NATO type of security agreement going forward, which means there will be military operations available for Zelenskyy in the future. There will also be money applied, most of the money coming from the EU, and there will also be boots on the ground, most notably from the EU forces. And for the European Union, this is very important to them because they want to protect themselves as well from any type of advance or invasion that might be in the mind of Vladimir Putin in the future.
We know that NATO is meeting in Brussels tomorrow to talk about some of these things. Gentlemen, we have about 30 seconds left. Final thought from both of you, starting with Peter.
Well, thanks. I mean, what we just heard from Kelly underscores the importance of having allies. We have European allies that are ready right now to put themselves in the fray, to send their soldiers to Ukraine. And that message is going to be communicated to Russia. If you attack Ukraine again in the future, you pick a fight with us. That's needed so that this war ends and Putin doesn't start it up again.
Kelly, last word to you.
Yeah, Peter's right. We have to stop, or at least the United States has to stop Vladimir Putin from having any type of forceful advance and incursion into more terrain and territory of Ukraine, as well as the neighboring countries in that area. And certainly the president has brought us to the table this far. And as Keir Starmer of the UK has stated, it seems right now Donald Trump is the man of the hour, and he's the only one who can broker a peace deal between these two warring countries.
Okay, Kelly and Peter, thank you both.